The coup attempt seemed successful. The palace had been seized, the president was captured, the French supporters were ready. But there was one thing the plotters didn't account for: Ibrahim Traore's ability to win a nation even while in captivity. The first shots were fired at 3:14 a.m. Ibrahim Traore, president of Burkina Faso, was awake when it happened. He'd been working late in his modest office within the presidential compound, reviewing mining contracts that foreign companies wanted to renew. These were the same contracts he had been systematically dismantling, returning control of Burkina Faso's vast gold reserves to its people. The sound of gunfire was unmistakable, short, controlled bursts from automatic weapons. His security chief, Captain Rao, burst into the office. "Mr. President, we're under attack. The palace perimeter has been breached." Traore nodded calmly, as if he'd been expecting this. In truth, he had been. Intelligence reports had warned of growing discontent among certain military factions, particularly those with historic ties to France. "How many?" Traore asked. "Initial estimate is 40 to 50 soldiers, sir. They're wearing our uniforms, but—" He hesitated. "But they're not. Loyal troops," Traore finished for him. "3rd Battalion?" "Yes, sir. Colonel Zongo appears to be leading them." Traore's expression darkened. Colonel Pierre Zongo had been his classmate at the military academy years ago, a skilled officer, but always too enamored with Western powers and their promises. "Evacuation route?" Traore asked, already knowing the answer. "Compromised, sir. They moved faster than we anticipated. The Presidential Guard is engaging them at the south entrance, but they're outnumbered." Traore rose. From his desk, straightening his simple military uniform. He wore no ornate decorations or symbols of rank, a deliberate choice to distance himself from the opulent leaders of the past. "No evacuation then," he said with remarkable composure. "We don't risk more Burkinabe lives in a firefight. Not for one man, even if that man is president." Captain Rao looked stricken. "Sir, with respect, you can't surrender. If they take you—" "If they take me," Traore interrupted, "then we enter a different kind of battle, one fought with words and will rather than bullets." He checked his watch. "Activate Protocol Sierra. You know what to do." Rao straightened, understanding the significance. Protocol Sierra was a contingency plan Traore had established months earlier, not for his personal protection, but for preserving the country's sovereignty in case of his capture or assassination. "It will be done, Mr. President." The sounds of fighting grew closer, shouted orders, more gunfire, the unmistakable thud of stun grenades. "Go now," Traore ordered. "That's a direct command." Rao hesitated only briefly before offering a sharp salute and disappearing through a concealed door behind a bookcase. It led to a network of passages. Traore switched off the recorder and slipped it into his pocket in one smooth motion. He remained seated, projecting an aura of calm authority that visibly unsettled the soldiers. "What crimes would those be, Pierre?" he asked, deliberately using Zongo's first name. "Is it a crime to ensure Burkina Faso's gold benefits its people rather than foreign shareholders?" Zongo's expression tightened. "Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Come with us now and you'll be treated with respect." Traore stood slowly, hands visible. "I don't fear death, Pierre. I've faced it too many times to be afraid now. But ask yourself, who profits most from this action tonight? Is it the people of Burkina Faso, or is it those who called our country Upper Volta with nothing and have been desperate to regain control of our resources?" A flicker of uncertainty crossed Zongo's face, quickly suppressed. "You'll have plenty of time for speeches later. Now move." As the soldiers surrounded him, Traore noticed something odd. They avoided meeting his eyes. Shame, perhaps. These were Burkinabe soldiers, after all, men who had sworn to defend their nation. not overthrow its democratically supported leader. They led him through corridors where signs of struggle were evident. Overturned furniture, bullet holes in walls, bloodstains on the floor. Traore felt a pang of grief for the loyal guards who had clearly fought to protect him. "How many dead?" he asked as they walked. 12 of your guards," Zongo replied without turning. 4 of mine. 16 Burkina sons, Traore said softly. 16 families who will mourn tonight because of foreign gold. One of the younger soldiers escorting him visibly flinched. They took him to a secure room in the east wing of the compound, ironically, a fortified safe. Room designed to protect the president in case of attack, now serving as his prison cell. The room had no windows, a single reinforced door, and basic amenities, a bed, toilet, and sink. "You'll remain here until the public announcement tomorrow." "Morning," Zongo informed him. "I suggest you use this time to prepare a resignation speech. It will be better for everyone." "And if I refuse?" Zongo's expression hardened. "Then we'll have a different kind of announcement." After they left, locking the heavy door behind them, Traore methodically inspected his cell. The room was designed to withstand assault from outside, not to contain someone within. Still, without tools, the reinforced door was impenetrable. He checked his watch, 4:27 a.m. The coup had unfolded swiftly, as military operations tend to. Now would begin the political phase, consolidating power, seeking international recognition, establishing legitimacy. Traore sat on the edge of the bed, closed his eyes, and began to plan. Not an escape. That was unlikely. Instead, he focused on turning the situation to his advantage. He knew this coup didn't originate solely within Burkina Faso's military. The young man froze, surprised. "Yes, sir. I visited there 3 months ago. We inaugurated a new school and health clinic built with proceeds from the Bissa gold mine." Traore's voice was conversational, without accusation. "The same mine that foreign companies extracted from for decades while paying only 3% in royalties to our people." The soldier shifted uncomfortably. "I should go, sir." "Of course. But tell." "Me, Private Wado." "Sir, Private Salam Wado." "Private Wedrago, has Colonel Zongo explained what happens next, after I'm removed?" The young soldier hesitated. "He said there will be new elections eventually, that things will improve." Traore nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Have you heard any foreign voices in the compound since last night? French accents, perhaps?" Private Wedrago's eyes widened slightly. "A tell. I must go, sir." After he left, Traore allowed himself a small smile. The young soldier's reaction had confirmed his suspicion. French operatives were already present, directing events from the shadows. At 10 a.m., the door opened again. This time, Colonel Zongo entered with 2 armed guards. "It's time," he said. "The national broadcast is scheduled for noon. You will read this statement." He handed Traore a printed document. Traore scanned it quickly. A formal resignation, citing health reasons, promising a peaceful transition to a military council that would restore constitutional order within an unspecified time frame. "And if I refuse?" Traore asked again. "Then we broadcast evidence of your corruption instead," Zongo replied coldly. "Documents showing your private accounts in Dubai filled with money from Chinese mining interests." Traore actually laughed at this. "Fabricated documents, you mean? I've never taken a franc that wasn't my official salary." "The truth doesn't matter," Zongo said with a shrug. "Only perception." "You're wrong, Pierre," Traore replied, his voice suddenly still. "The truth always matters. It may be delayed, obscured, even buried for a time, but it emerges eventually, like water finding its path through stone." Something in his tone made Zongo uncomfortable. "You have 2 hours to decide," he said, turning to leave. "Choose wisely." When they were gone, Traore carefully tore the resignation letter into tiny pieces and flushed them down the toilet. Then, he removed the digital recorder from his pocket. They hadn't searched him thoroughly, another sign of the operation's hasty planning, and began speaking. This additional testament is recorded at approximately 10:15 a.m. Colonel Zongo has confirmed French involvement by his reactions. They intend to force a false resignation. I refuse. The Burkina Faso people deserve to know who truly seeks to control their nation and its resources. At exactly noon, Traore was escorted to what had once been the palace's media room. A camera was set up, broadcasting equipment ready. Standing off to the side, Traore noticed a Caucasian man in civilian clothing giving directions in French-accented English. Their eyes met briefly, and the man quickly looked away. Sit there. Traore looked directly into the camera, his gaze unwavering. People of Burkina Faso, I speak to you not from the freedom of the presidential office, but from captivity within our own palace. Last night, at approximately 3 in the morning, a faction of our military, led by Colonel Pierre Zongo, acting under foreign direction, attempted a coup d'etat. Zongo lunged forward. Cut the broadcast. Cut it now. But the technician seemed frozen, his hands away from the controls. Traore continued smoothly. I am currently being held prisoner and have been asked to read a false resignation. I refuse. The soldiers who participated in this action are not our enemies. They are our brothers who have been misled. The true architects of this coup are not even Burkina Faso citizens. The foreign advisor was now shouting, but strangely, no one moved to stop the broadcast. At this very moment, Traore continued, documents are being released to every media outlet in the country and across Africa, showing the direct involvement of foreign mining interests and intelligence services in planning this coup. Their goal is simple: to reverse our policies of resource sovereignty, to return control of our gold to foreign shareholders. Now Zongo was staring at his phone in growing horror. The screen showed notification after notification, messages, calls, news alerts. To the soldiers who participated in this action, you have been used. Look to your officers and ask who has recently received large payments from foreign banks. Ask why French military advisors arrived secretly in our country 3 days ago. One of the guards shifted nervously, lowering his weapon slightly. To our international friends who support true sovereignty, now is the time to stand with Burkina Faso. And to those foreign powers who believe they can still treat Africa as their personal resource reserve, who believe they can install and remove leaders at will, your time is over. The door to the studio suddenly burst open. Captain Ouedraogo entered, accompanied by several soldiers wearing the insignia of the 1st Battalion loyal to Traore. The palace perimeter is secured, Mr. President, Ouedraogo announced. The 1st and 4th Battalions have declared their support for the constitutional government. The 2 guards who had been flanking Traore looked uncertainly at Colonel Zongo, who stood frozen, still staring at his phone. The choice is now yours, Colonel, Traore said, rising from his chair. Continue this failed coup and face charges of treason, or help me expose the true foreign instigators and salvage your honor. For a long moment, the room was absolutely still, the tension palpable. Then, with a gesture of defeat, Zongo placed his sidearm on a nearby table. How? He asked simply. How did you counter this so quickly? Traore's expression remained composed. Protocol Sierra was designed for exactly this scenario the moment Captain Ouedraogo escaped the compound. He paused, his gaze intensifying. In the coming days, I will present evidence of this foreign interference to the African Union, the United Nations, and most importantly, to you, the Burkina Faso people. The days of resource colonialism are over. Africa's wealth belongs to Africans. The broadcast continued for several more minutes as Traore outlined next steps and called for national unity. When finally the camera was switched off, he turned to Wado. Casualties? Minimal, sir. Once the evidence of foreign involvement spread through the ranks, most of the 3rd Battalion stood down. They were deceived, not disloyal. Traore nodded, in satisfaction. And the French delegation attempting to leave the country? The airport has been secured. Their private jet is being held. Good. Ensure they are treated with diplomatic courtesy, but they are not to leave until we've completed our investigation. Over the next several hours, the full story emerged. The coup had been meticulously planned by French intelligence working with mining executives who had lost billions when Traore nationalized Burkina Faso's gold mines. They had recruited Zongo and several other officers, promising them power and wealth. What they hadn't anticipated was Protocol Sierra, Traore's elaborate countermeasure based on rapid information dissemination. The moment the coup began, digital evidence of foreign involvement was automatically released to trusted military commanders, civil society leaders, and media outlets throughout the country and across Africa. By 7 p.m. that evening, barely 16 hours after the coup began, Ibrahim Traore stood on the palace balcony, addressing thousands of citizens who had gathered in spontaneous support. The crowd stretched as far as the eye could see, people waving Burkinabe flags and carrying hastily made signs, "No to foreign interference," and "Our gold, our future." "Today," Traore declared, his voice carrying across the square. Burkina Faso faced a test and emerged stronger. This wasn't my victory, it was yours. When our soldiers learned the truth, that they were being used by foreign interests to undermine our sovereignty, they chose nation over conspiracy. The crowd roared its approval. Colonel Zongo and the other officers involved will face justice, but with an important distinction. Those who were merely following orders, believing they served the nation, will be treated with mercy. Those who knowingly collaborated with foreign powers to betray our sovereignty will answer for their treason. As he spoke, Traore noticed Zongo being escorted to a vehicle, head bowed. The colonel looked up briefly. There, the Malian diplomat leaned forward. "We've come with a proposal, a mutual defense and resource sovereignty pact between our nations. United, we stand a better chance against those